Imagine living in a world where dreams don't exist. They're forbidden, where the idea of experiencing near lucid visions in your sleep is a myth, a disease, a physical impossibility, and yet suddenly, despite what you have been told, what you have been taught, they are real, and now everyone is terrified. It all began when I stared at the dream catcher in my aunt's bedroom, and that was all it took for something bigger than I could have ever imagined back then to take form. This is the third story I have actually created in my whole life, and the first I have actually committed myself to. What simply started out as a book about a superhero called the Dreamcatcher with dream-based superpowers eventually turned into something much larger. My name is Hush. I am now 21 years old, and the concept for this story was conceived when I was only 15, and it has only evolved ever since. People have since asked me what my book is about. Well, to be honest, there is no one answer to that question. Because my book is a lot of things, and to describe it in a singular logline feels reductive and defeats the grandeur of my world. But rather than just dropping you into the deep end, it would make more sense to take you through its foundation, its history, its magic, its mysteries, all from where it started. So how do I explain what my story entails? Let's start with the core mystery. Dreams. In my story, dreams are forbidden. In my world, visions beyond your control are traditionally not believed to exist. They are all myths, yet somehow, despite what everyone believes, they do exist because people have begun dreaming, and people are terrified more than ever before because dreaming is a crime. Dreamers are labeled as anomalies. Dreamers are hosts of a plague who are arrested immediately, torn apart from their families, taken away to an unknown fate, their lives stripped away from them, never to be heard of again. My book begins with the search for answers to all the questions one might have upon learning this premise. Why are dreams a myth? How are they possible again? Why was it a lie in the first place? Was it even a lie? Who is arresting them? Where are they taken to? Why? Exploring these questions is only the needle tip of the iceberg. To understand where these questions come from, we need a more clearer picture of the state of my world. Rings, Wings and Strings is set in a reimagined 18th century Mediterranean where two continents dominate the map. The largest of these landmasses is named Thelessia, and it all begins in its crown jewel, Qardis, the city of whispering walls. Thelessia is inspired by a mixture of Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cultures, and Qardis is one inspired by a blend of Greek and Turkish culture. Qardis is a confederacy of 9 autonomous provinces, each ruled by its own distinct administration, but still all under the oversight of the central authority that oversees Qardis, known as the Monocle. Think of the United States, except there are 9 states and they exist in the Mediterranean region in the 18th century. Qardis has retained its infamous name because it's an enclosed empire where no one can go in and no one inside can go out. There are exceptions to this which we can get to later. Beyond the massive walls of Qardis are the anarchists who have settled by the frontiers after being exiled from the city during a brutal war called the Second Atonement. And inside are the peaceful folk, content with the provincial palatines that ruled the 9 provinces. When I create fictional cities, it's important to me that I establish a personality that sets it apart from other cities, kingdoms, or states in my world. I imagine my fictional regions to be characters as well, embedding traits that make the city or state memorable, distinct, and individually distinguishable. With Qardis, I had to make sure I gave some of the best of my ideas. Qardis is the epitome of a utopia. There is law, there is order, there is stability, there is progress, there is security, the bare minimum it takes for a utopian city. However, reaping the benefits of living here comes with its own set of prices. The Confederacy of Qardis have established specific standards of lifestyle that are required by every Qardian to adhere. Because Qardis enforces a rigid ban on free expression, strictly regulating artistic and cultural output. The regime suppresses creativity to maintain ideological control, preventing subversive ideas or revolutionary sentiments from spreading among the populace. The monocle dictates what stories can be told, what portraits can be painted, what music can be played, and what architecture can be built. It sees unregulated art as a threat to the state's order and seeks to eliminate any form of creative deviation that could undermine its authority. Only state-approved narratives and ideologies can be published or displayed. The suppression of this creativity in Qardis creates a society that is functionally efficient but emotionally repressed. The folk are deprived of artistic outlets, leading to a sterilized culture of conformity, stagnation, and an underlying sense of frustration. The lack of individualism stifles innovation, making Qardis advanced in organization and governance, but lacking in cultural evolution. Meanwhile, the frontiers beyond the Qardian border consist of an unregulated population living under anarchy, some enjoying the absence of a ruler and the others regretting their lives by actively fighting for a way inside Qardis. Although the frontiers lacking any form of government and centralized suppression are a haven for unrestricted creativity, art and self-expression. Without laws, people are free to create whatever they desire. Murals, poetry, music, and radical philosophies flourish. However, without infrastructure or governance, people rely on scavenging, trade, and mercenary work. Settlements rise and fall overnight, and violence is an ever-present reality. Neither Qardis nor the frontiers offer a perfect existence. Qardis thrives on control and governance, but at the cost of personal freedom, whereas the frontiers have complete freedom, but at the cost of structure, safety, and long-term sustainability. This juxtaposition was the base that led me to explore the different avenues of freedom and control in my world, and my characters could be turned into perfect vessels for my world building. For example, my protagonist's life as a graduated scholar in Qardis risks his life to investigate the motivations of the monocle, to explore why dreamers are arrested in the first place through selectively published texts made available to the public. This brings the reader along the journey of a character whose life is much tainted by the propaganda successfully dispensed by an authoritarian regime for generations. And this is all from one character, in one city, in one corner of my world. Qardis is only the beginning. It's a teaser for what lies ahead in my world. Because there's West Mishk, East Mishk, Zorakesh, Black Garden, Liumaya, Kuskovic, Rangatira, all these regions with their own intricate lore and distinct world building. And I hadn't talked about my magic system yet, which, in fact, if it intrigues you, involves telepaths hidden in a secluded community in the desert in a different region in Thelessia, weaving their own mysterious influence across the land. Rings, Wings and Strings is a series of books, the number which I cannot disclose now, that not only explores the fragility of civilization, but many other complex themes too. Themes we will explore and discuss together. Since this is an introduction, I will spare the details for future videos. Over the course of these series, I'll be breaking down my world thread by thread, from the political machinations of Qardis to the mysteries lying beyond its walls, the lore of different regions, the esoteric magic system, the cultures, the conflicts, my storytelling techniques, all of it. But beyond world building, I needed my story to be deeply metaphorical and allegorical, symbolically reflecting real-world issues and dilemmas faced as individuals and as a society. I wanted my story to provoke contemplation and reach intellectuals, which is where you come in. I wanted to incentivize readers with something more than just a generic reading experience, because this isn't just a story, it's an exploration, a puzzle woven into an entire world that I am sharing with you. This world is intended to summon the misfits, the romantics, the bruised poets, the empaths, the kids who used to stare at the wall and imagine alternate worlds while the world mocked you for being too much. This is for those who had to dim their light when society only saw you burn everything you touched. I'm building this world for you. We don't escape our pain by forgetting it, we transform it, we alchemize it, and sometimes we use it to create stories. And it is my intention to make this world a sanctuary for spirits alike, who could find refuge in this world and say, finally someone built this for me. And I have to remind you, Qardis is just one of many in store I have for you. This story is bigger than me, it's bigger than Qardis, it's bigger than the book itself, and not merely a personal ambitious project of mine. I believe the best stories aren't just told, they're dissected, debated, and questioned. They live beyond the pages in the minds of those who dare to ask, what does this really mean? What purpose does this story serve in being told? And I hope my story brings that impact when I take you through the intricate web of rings, wings, and strings, one thread at a time. And I hope every answer we unravel together leads to more questions we can explore. Of course, not everything revealed in this channel will make it to the final page. You could call this more of a collaborative process, if that's even the right word to use, for me to gather data, that is your comments, thoughts, feedback, and suggestions, and then use it to refine my world further. Once I noticed how there was indeed an audience on YouTube that consumed world building and storytelling content like that of Monster Garden, Ridfinch, Jeff Brown, and Rick's Creations, I realized I might as well take a stab at sharing my world and seeing how that goes, sooner before it becomes a saturated niche. Because I also realized I needed a genuine audience that can grow alongside my story. World building can be a lonely process, especially if you are not surrounded by people who know how to appreciate and critique your work. So I guess that's where you can fill yourselves in. Currently, it's just me at the steering wheel, sketching all my artworks and creating these videos by myself while I tackle a job and my psychology degree and writing my book alongside. And I'm far behind to call myself even a decent artist, so apologies if I'm asking that you will have to settle for my wonky, amateurish scribbles of all the different bits of my world. Well, that is until I can afford to hire a proper artist, or artists who can bring my vision to life. And for now, my half-baked sketches of my fully-baked ideas are what you will have to see on screen while I narrate in the background. I really do not condone the use of AI, and I stand by it, but if there's anything I wish I can show you that is much more grander to see than as a sketch, I might perhaps rarely resort to showing you what it looks like as an AI-generated artwork. Again, until I can get better artists in my team for me to produce content with much better quality. But if you think I'd be better off avoiding AI, do let me know, and I will try sketching all my artworks the best I can. If you would like to join me in making this world and have an inside look at the process, you can do so by becoming an exclusive member of my Patreon, which only requires $1.50 to be a part of this journey with me. So that being said, if you love deep, intricate world building, hidden lore, and complex stories embedded with meaning, I hope I deliver that. So do stick around, don't hold back questions, and do share your thoughts, because I would love to read your comments, and I read them all. To end this off, you might also have asked, or if you haven't thought about it already, what does the title of your book series even mean? What does it have anything to do with dreams? Well, it's going to be the answer to a lot of questions as we go on exploring my world on this channel. A predominant theme in my entire series is connection. Arguably the most important and frequently recurring motif, at least, is that we're all connected in a cosmic web in our universe. My book series was initially going to be named the Dreamcatcher series, but then later changed to Rings, Wings and Strings. The reason? I'll let you think about this easy question yourself. Remember how I said this story began with me looking at a dreamcatcher? Great. Well, what is a dreamcatcher made of? Where do its feathers decorated on it come from? And what holds the feathers together in a dreamcatcher?